Okay, that's a global market action, but let's talk about how these overnight cues will impact our own markets. We have with us our research team joining in with just that, the trade setup and the stocks that are likely to be in the news as well. And of course, the action from the F&O space. Hey guys, a very good morning to all three of you. Vivek, let me come across to you first. Looks like another weekday.
Well, absolutely. As you've been mentioning, the global setup and the handover that we've got both from US, Europe, as well as today early morning trade as far as Asia Pacific markets are concerned, all of them point to quite a muted start and quite a weak session as far as Indian markets are concerned. The Dow Jones and S&P 500 continued to decline for the sixth straight session. And remember now, if you're talking about the US markets, all three of the US major indices are now trading in technical bear market territory. European markets too ended flat to marginally lower yesterday, and concerns persisted, especially when it comes to the pound sterling and the historical sell-off we've seen over there. The sole bright spot, which remained crude, yesterday did bounce off the 9-month lows, but today morning again, crude too has taken quite a bit of a dip. So when you're talking about crude prices, the next set of cues that oil prices will look forward to is the OPEC plus speed that is set on October 5th. Now, when you're talking about the Asian markets today have opened out on a weak footing, marginally lower, and the SGX Nifty 2 is indicating to a gap down start as far as the Indian markets are concerned. Remember, FIIs continue to remain sellers, and today it'll be interesting to see whether, as yesterday, there will be an intraday dip being bought by the trading community.
Okay, all right, Vivek, thank you so much for that. And Surbhi is joining us now to talk about all the stocks that will be in focus today. Surbhi?
I have a few stocks on my radar today. The first one is M&M. The company sold 2.2% stake in Mahindra CIE for 285 rupees per share. Following the sale, the shareholding of the company in MCIE has reduced from 11.4% to 9.2%. Next is Bharat Heavy Electricals. The company has received an order for setting up a thermal power project on an EPC basis for NTPC. Moving on to Power Grid, the company will invest 328 crores for setting a transmission line in Gujarat. This will link company's pooling station with Reliance's Jamnagar refinery. The company also appointed G. Ravi Shankar as the CFO. Motherson Sumi will consider a bonus issue on September 30th. And lastly, Supriya Life Sciences, Dr. Shirish Ambhaikar, the Chief Executive Officer, has resigned, and the company has appointed Mr. Rajiv Kumar Jain instead, with effect from 3rd of October.
Okay, all right, Surbhi, thank you so much for all those stocks that will be in focus today. Finally, Nigel is joining in with all the cues from the F&O space. Hey, Nigel.
Well, morning, Sonal. Yesterday the only bright spot was the DI buying. They managed to take care of the FI selling. So after a while, we had a rather large net institution buy number, and that explains why yesterday we ended more or less flattish, because otherwise the FI selling has really been too much for the DI buying to handle. So let's see whether or not that can continue. Either the FIs sell less or the DIs they buy more and they can outweigh that. So that's an important data point to track. On the index futures side, well, yesterday, yet again, the FIs, they added short positions to the tune of close to 12,000 contracts. And now we should get the long short position up for you. They continue to remain net short on this index at around 79% odd. The problem is they're selling big time and they're short on the market as well. If that selling can reduce, then you can hope for a bit of a short covering bounce. On the writing side, though, the last few sessions, they've been writing calls very, very aggressively. Now, there is some put writing which outweigh the call writing. That's giving some glimmer of hope for today's session itself. On the buying side, well, they bought calls as well as puts in yesterday's trade. Now, on the writing side, the 16,900 put, that was very active in trade yesterday. The premium came down from around the 95 rupees towards the 70 rupee odd mark. So for me, that 16,830 is a very, very important level today. We start below that, the lows that we saw yesterday. We start even below the 200 DMA. So the glimmer of hope is the 100 DMA, that's held out. Since the SGX Nifty is suggesting such a big gap down of close to around 160 points odd, I'll tell you what, risk reward could favor you buying the dip, the first hour low, that is, closer to around that 16,850 odd. Only if you're a brave trader, that is. It's still in sell on rise mode, but as we've been seeing in the last couple of sessions, if you manage to pick the low, well, you're getting a bit of a bounce of around 100 points from the day's low. So track the first hour lows. If you can hold on to that, keep a strict stop loss of around 50-60 points out from the first hour lows, and then you're hoping that we get a bit of a bounce. Stocks that are coming out of the F&O ban, well, PNB could be one such stock, so keep an eye out on that one. Weak start. Let's see whether or not we're getting a bit of a bounce from the day's low. Back to you.
Okay, that is something that we will keep an eye out on. Nigel, Surbhi and Vivek, thank you so much for joining us and telling us what to expect from the trading day ahead. Now let us slip into a short break. When we return, Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari emphasizes on a focus on safety rather than cost for EV makers. We get you his comments after this short break. Stay tuned.